Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the Elite Racing League Belly Up Sports Cup Series for round 9 of the 2026A season. The Lucas Oil School of Racing 150 from Road Atlanta, the virtual Road Atlanta here tonight on the Elite Racing Network. My name is David Westergreen. I am joined tonight in the booth by my co-announcer, Zach Evans, our producer, David Huckleberry, as always, Sam Boutwell over on Race Control, and Zach, a new track to the Belly Up Sports Cup Series, to my knowledge, Road Atlanta. I'm not particularly familiar with this track. I don't even own it on iRacing. Why don't you describe to us what the challenges are going to be around this 2.5 mile road circuit tonight?
I think the biggest one is the elevation changes. I'm not sure there is a flat piece of real estate anywhere on those 2.5 miles. It's uphill, it's downhill, it's corners over blind crests. You know, I mean, it's just nestled into the hillside here in Georgia, and it's really going to challenge these drivers in these stock cars that already struggle a little bit at turning left and right, as we know. And now you're going to add in all of that as well as an unfamiliar track for many of these drivers. And it's going to be a real challenge tonight.
Yeah, I think a couple of guys will make it look like not a challenge. You guys are going to be familiar with the road course ace names that we talk about all night. I'm sure Road Atlanta unfamiliar to you at home as well as it is to us in the booth. We will do our best to guide you through this race. It's a little bit new. Please bear with us when it comes to the familiarity with this track. But we should be right about time to grid up, and that will take us to the starting lineup. I believe, and we got 30 more seconds. So, Zach, obviously, let's bring up the race uh, details here because we do have a stage caution being announced at lap 15. That'll be where we award stage points for these guys as well. We have a 60 lap race tonight. There will be that stage caution lap 15 and then a 45 lap sprint to the finish. It's going to kind of take away the strategy, I think, as we also take a look at the point standings to the right side of your screen. Looks to me like you'll pit at the stage break and you'll pit halfway through that final run.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be what most people do. You'll probably see some people stay out at the stage break and then just pit somewhere near the halfway mark of the 60 lap race, somewhere around lap 30. But otherwise, I think it's going to be pretty cut and dry.
So with that, let's jump to the starting grid for the Lucas Oil School of Racing 150 tonight and the 4D Raceware Pole Award winner. No surprise, it's Ethan Stanley, the road course ace, back on top alongside Gavin Hibbs. David Tooker will start third. He's a former one of those great elite road course aces. He'll be alongside Blake Reynolds, who should be a strong contender tonight. Josh Chin will start from the fifth spot. He'll be another one of those contenders tonight alongside Chad Frankenfield. Corey Abbott will start seventh in a good qualifying effort for the number 21. He'll be alongside Daniel Gore for South Shore Racing in eighth. Trey Eidson will start in the ninth spot for Shift Esports alongside Scott Crump in 10th for Lake Norman. Kel Pocock, a one-off start here tonight in a special scheme in P11 for Abbott Motorsports. He'll be alongside Ryan Gable.
Ray Braithwaite qualifying in the 13th position. He'll be alongside Matthew Weeks. Going to row 8, Seth Rawls will start 15th. Justin Vandermarl starting in the 16th position. To the 9th row, where we have Jonathan Cutlip. On the inside, to his outside, will be Jesse Racimas. On the 10th row, Jared Rexing in the Nesquik 71. Hunter Smith in the 51 for Little Eagle Racing. Row 11, Jaden Racimas in car 1. He'll be alongside Ryan Schold in number 4. On our 12th row, it's Ethan Burrell for Pro Edge Racing and Brent Jones rolling off 24th.
25th will be Garrison Hogan, teammate to those Channel 199 guys starting at the front. Gilberto Javier Gomera will roll from 26th in the 3-car. Nigel Stock, making his Elite Cup Series debut, will roll off 27th. Gerald Campbell will start 28th. Michael Goodman will roll from 29th. Mark Rebelas will go from 30th. A couple of guys who don't love those new road courses. At the back of the field, 31st will be Josh Adams. 32nd, Ty McIntosh. A couple more guys not looking for this night to kind of end quickly. Harrison Talon will roll from 33rd on the starting grid. And it looks like we will make an entire pace lap here at Road Atlanta before setting these guys off green. So 2.5 miles around this undulating track, and it should give us a chance, I think, to go over kind of how this track looks, right? We've got a track map for you at the bottom of the screen, and you can see just how much elevation these guys are going to carve through.
Absolutely. Going on board here with our pole sitter, Ethan Stanley. This is turn 2. As you can see, turn 3 is to the right here, but when you're in the car, it's really hard to gauge where to turn right there. It's a little bit one of those blind corners as you start your way through turn 4, and then the S's go a little bit more closer to what Ethan Stanley is actually seeing in the car. This bit is downhill, and I argue this next corner might be, if not the most important, the second most important, because you need to be able to get a good run out of here, use that curb without bouncing like a basketball to stay as close to the car you want to pass as you run down to 6 and 7. Down the hill here, braking downhill. 6 and 7, really slow, second gear, right-hand corners. 7 is deceptive because it's even a little bit sharper than 6, especially with the uphill. So you think you're slowing down enough, and then you realize, oh, wait, you get back into throttle a little too early. You run off wide to the left. That's the biggest challenge with this corner. You've got to get it right, though, because this is the longest straightaway on the circuit, and it's going into your best passing area on the circuit. Way down at the bottom of the hill that we haven't even gotten to yet, turns 10A and 10B, a chicane that was installed a while back, many years ago to basically make turn 11 less dangerous. It's already pretty sketchy as it is, as you'll see, but it creates, like I say, probably your best passing opportunity on the circuit. You go down again, another downhill braking zone, high speed, fastest part of the track. Here you're hard on the brakes. You are jamming through the gears to get it woed up for this left-right chicane. This is where most of your intentional passes are going to happen. To the left, and then back to the right, uphill. I promise there's a right-hander somewhere underneath that bridge. Right here it is. This is a place a lot of guys are going to mess up. You see the pace car ducking off to the right to the pits. Turn 12 is a right-hander taking you back to the start-finish line where we have gone green to start at Lucas Oil School of Racing 150.
Ethan Stanley sets off first, and there is a whole wad of cars rolling in behind him. That fight for track position early is going to be important because, as Zach mentioned in that little rundown of this race, there's not a whole lot of places to pass. He mentioned that intentional passing phrase, I think, twice, right? It's just not a whole lot of places where you're going to be able to make a move on that guy in front of you, especially if you guys are running very similar pace. So these drivers are going to have a whale of a time, getting sorted out and then finding ways to get around the slower cars in front of them. Obviously, you don't want to make any mistakes. We talk about that all the time, the mental fortitude and the consistency that it's going to take to be successful in this series. And already Chad Frankenfield has drawn the black flag. We'll have to see what that's all about. Let race control take care of that one. Matthew Weeks hard on the binders, trying to get into turn 7 here as they go into that long back straightaway. Right in front of Justin Vandermarl, Seth Rawls. All this is a battle just outside the top 10 from 12th on back.
One thing to keep an eye on here from the sixth spot, Chad Frankenfield will be serving a drive-through penalty for some of the tallies he has accrued over the course of this season. So we will be seeing him duck to the right here after they get through turn 11.
Here comes Chad Frankenfield, and this is a somewhat new development, trying to clean up the racing a little bit in this series, and Chad serving that black flag. It just goes to show you even the league owner isn't immune to the penalty system, and we'll see if he can't recover from having this early trouble as Ethan Stanley does continue to lead this race. Gavin Hibbs rolls in behind him in second. Blake Reynolds third, David Tooker fourth, Josh Chin fifth. Early on, they have opened up a couple of seconds over Daniel Gore in the 6th position. Back here, we're looking at Jesse Racimus and Hunter Smith in a battle for the 16th spot just behind Justin Vandermarl, and this pack right here is kind of where I would expect to see some trouble as all these guys are stacked up on each other into these hard braking zones. Here comes Hunter Smith to the inside of Jesse Racimus towards that turn 6 spot, and he will not make that pass just yet, but with that right-hander to turn 7, I think that's where Hunter Smith will complete this pass. Top three have also broken away a little bit, it looks like, from David Tooker and Josh Chin. Looks to me that this race might be a group of three, and it might even be a race of one as Ethan Stanley continues to prowl around with the race lead. Corey Abbott going after Scott Crump for the 7th position here under the bridge through turn 11. See if Corey Abbott can't make a move into turn 1 down this long straightaway. I'm sure there's a little bit of draft effect going on in these long straightaways, Zach.
Oh, for sure. There's some of that as well. In those two long straights. It'll be very interesting, and that we might see it unfold here in this battle with Scott Crump and Corey Abbott. The natural line for most cars at Road Atlanta is to use as much of the runoff and the curb on the exit of turn 5, this next left-hander you'll see, as there is available to you. You see an access road and then some of that the curbing there, but these guys, we've got Hunter Smith around. Hunter Smith has gone around, I believe, on the exit turn 5 there. He just went, yep. And he is trying to get that corrected. He may have tagged another car in the process. I'm not entirely sure. We'll get a look here on the replay.
That car's out of shape well before they even get to that turn 5. And then, clip Jesse Racimus on the way by. We saw Hunter pass by Jesse, and with that contact, he spins Jesse out. Looks like both of them are going to lose several positions and fall down the running order.
So we didn't quite get to my and Hunter's. Oh, this is a replay.
This is still the replay.
Yep. Okay. Yeah,
It's like Brian Schultz might have gotten tagged in that as well. Just a little bit of damage. Back to live here as Smith is well back in the field. Crump's been bypassed by Corey Abbott and Ryan Gable. He is now under fire from Trey Eidson. The 90 car starting to back up just a little bit. Seth Rawls got around Ray Bracey. And Jonathan Cutlip started to challenge the number 7 as well. Ray looking like he's taking it easy early on here. And I think that's a pretty viable strategy in this race. Just don't make any mistakes and try to make it to the end. There's Jonathan Cutlip using that runoff area I think you talked about, but I don't think it was to his benefit.
No, and that's, I think that's kind of the natural line most cars take here. Use as much of that curb and that access road as you can, but you saw there, it got very upset on that curb, and that seems to be what we're hearing a lot of, that the car just starts bouncing entirely too much when you get off on that curb. And in that case, it completely killed Jonathan Cutlip's run out of turn 5 and opened the door for Justin Vandermeer to pass him there.
Scott Crump, I think, also had a bit of an off-track incident as here comes Vandermeer diving to the inside of Ray Bracey. I don't think that's going to work.
He's running off the track. And now they've gone together, and Justin Vandermeer got the worst of it.
Yeah, I think we need to go back and take a look at Vandermeer and Ray. It looked like Vandermeer went in just way too deep. Maybe missed the braking zone a little bit there and shot off the track. And I know Ray and Vandermeer have had incidents before, and I don't think Ray's about to.
And then he just kind of runs Ray pretty much off the racetrack.
You saw there was nowhere Ray could have gone.
No. If he had been left a car width, I'd understand a little frustration from Justin Vandermeer's part. But at some point, you can't just, even though he's mostly completed the pass, it's still on you to fully complete the pass and not run your opposing driver completely off the racing circuit. As now we look at that as Josh Adams going into the tire bundle there outside of turn 5, or I guess inside of the exit turn. Who knows? Whatever. I'm not a geography major, man.
Yeah, Adams is going to park the number 22 Shifty sports car here, and that'll return us to live action where Ethan Stanley continues to lead over Gavin Hibbs. Looks like the damage for Chad Frankenfield. He's back in 27th, starting to make passes now. Adams already out of the race. Vandermeer's back down the running order quite a bit. On screen is a battle between Jarrett Rexing and Garrison Hogan. That is a battle for the 15th position, but behind Ray Bracey, who got removed off the back of the pack he was running with there with that run-in with Justin Vandermeer. And I was just going to mention it. Those two have had run-ins before, so I know Ray wasn't keen on just giving over spots and room to Vandermeer, but Ty McIntosh heading down pit road. The No good, very bad season continues for the 10 car. He had mentioned not really he'd mentioned some discomfort with the racetrack tonight. And I think that might be part of the pit stop here. Turn 7, Scott Crump, Seth Rawls. Rawls underneath Crump. Around in front of the Matthew Weeks. Goes off track. They're able to sneak by. Weeks only loses a couple of spots. He'll fall from 11th to 14th and into the clutches of Ray Bracey. Crump still under fire from Seth Rawls. Blake Reynolds has gotten around Gavin Hibbs for second up front. But back here is that interesting battle. Looks like Hunter Smith's heading off track, and he may be out of the event.
He has left.
Not a great night for the 51 car of Hunter Smith, who had a great run last week, finished inside the top 10 after an excellent fuel save to the end of that World 600 race. Crump still under fire from Rawls. Rawls has been pretty sneakily good at these road course races. Let's go on board with the 25 car and watch him set up the 90 of Scott Crump for a pass.
Yeah, I think, like I say, you've got two solid options. You mentioned the run from turn 5 up to 6 and 7. And, oh, sorry, Jonathan Cutlip has gone for his slide. You see, that's exactly what Seth Rawls is doing, though, saying up Scott Crump went wide. That's going to allow Seth Rawls to get to the outside. It's got to be a little tougher, but he is going to be able to pinch Scott Crump down and probably get the run out of 7 here when Scott Crump isn't able to track wide. And that'll let him... should finish the pass down the straightaway here, where he'll have the inside into 10A, but Scott Crump actually with a surprising amount of momentum out of that corner.
Let's see, just Crump's now out of that preferred racing line on the inside. Rawls is going to have that entering this chicane, and it will be positioned to the 25 car. Seth Rawls, that is the 10th spot. These guys are racing for stage points in this group, so that one stage point could prove useful for Seth Rawls, who, as we look at the incident for Jonathan Cutlip, Rawls is, by my count, 15 points out, 16 points out of the chase as we speak, but currently 16th is Josh Adams. He's already out of the race in 33rd. So Seth Rawls being able to pick up an extra stage point could prove very beneficial to his chase hopes. Jesse Racimus, Cale Pocock side by side through the S's portion, and Pocock hops the curb and manages to make it stick. If Cale Pocock ever does run a full Cup Series season, that's a guy that will be fun to follow. I think Cale has he does a lot of things that other guys
Ryan
don't.
Ryan Schultz has gone off track. There you see it.
Schultz off track. Intermodal back to Jared Rexing's back bumper, but to my point on Pocock, I like, when I'm racing around him in the ARCA Series, Jaden Racimus is off track. These guys are starting, I think, maybe to wear the tires a little bit and find that.
Gerald Campbell's
Pocock,
around.
Piece of Gerald, Jesse around, Jaden involved, both Racimuses taken out in that one. Chad Frankenfield had to off track to avoid them. Brent Jones, Nigel Stott, Gilberto sneak by. Back to the replay, and it all started with Jaden Racimus getting caught up off the track. Hale got inside of Gerald, got a piece of him, and Jaden went around just trying to go by on the outside.
Yeah, that's a tough one. A lot was happening in a very short amount of space in a small amount of time there, and now we are, well, okay, so that's where, yes, so we are following Chad, who takes a scenic route to avoid all of that.
Wild race here in the midfield. Quick look at Nigel Stock, 98 car, making his first Cup Series start. He's been working in the ARCA Series. A bit of a road course guy, but he's definitely trying to learn the ropes, making one off that he ought to be able to keep the car on the racetrack and try to keep it clean. His teammate Cale Pocock's off track in front. Chad Frankenfield kind of looking 3 wide here, but Nigel's going to jump underneath Cale. Chad's going to have to follow these guys through, and we talked about Seth Rawls. He's 19th in points right now. Chad Frankenfield is, I'm going to have to find him, 25th in points as we speak right now. And that's a car that, I believe made the chase the playoffs last season. And the issue for Chad is, he's been involved in a lot of incidents, a lot of them at his own making. He's had some bad finishes. With the kind of our timeline winding down for that chase, Chad's going to need to make some ground up as we look to the race lead. Ethan Stanley currently has it. Blake Reynolds has gained on Ethan Stanley quite a bit over the last couple of laps. That 66 car is only going to get faster and faster as this race goes along, I believe. Gavin Hibbs and Josh Chen have stayed in touch with Ethan Stanley, and that bodes well for us having a race after the stage caution at lap 15.
Well, to touch on your point regarding the penalties for Chad Frankenfield, he fell after our World 600 last week. He fell from 17th to 25th in points. He because of the penalties, he actually lost points competing in the World 600. So that was a huge hit, and he really can't afford any more. He's got to clean up some of that, because even with the drive-through, a further, as it could be even more penalties as we see Trey Eidson going around.
Out of ninth there for Trey Eidson, so that's another big one. And we talked about points. Trey Eidson's 24th in points, could have really used those stage points, but he will drop out. And we look back at Chad Frankenfield, got around Nigel Stockey, go after Jesse Racimus. I think Chad can probably still make the chase, right? You've got a lot of guys in that group not here tonight and or performing poorly, right? Josh Adams, sure. It's a road course. Josh isn't going to, race as well with these guys at the road course. But, you'll look up the running order. Caleb Pecumer, last week's winner, wasn't able to get here this week. Daniel Falkingham, the points leader, not able to get here this week. Garrison Hogan's back in the field a little bit. Ethan Burrell's behind Chad. So, there's some time for Chad to make up some ground today and then also going forward.
Sure. And if you had to take a drive-through, doing it here is one of the best places to have it happen. Is thanks for coming, Daniel Falkingham. But
he's there. He's been here.
But I guess the larger point I'd like to make there is he has to get through tonight clean. Because right. It's harder to pick up a tally because there's less likelihood of a caution at a road course. But if you inflict severe damage on somebody, that's going to be 30 points further you are penalized, plus a 1-lap penalty in your next race. So, you just can't keep piling on there.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's self-inflicted, and that's the part that I think has frustrated Chad. He knows last week wasn't a great week for him, and we look forward. I think that with the schedule upcoming, you've got Richmond next week, Texas in 2 weeks, Texas Legacy in 2 weeks, and then we have the new Atlanta to start off the chase. Chad's got some tracks I think he can perform well at. I think both Texas and Atlanta should be solid for him, but you have to make sure you're not the car dishing out those tallies, because they can pile up. And, a lot of these guys don't have a tally given to them this season, but if you get a lot, right, and Chad got 2 last week by himself, that can put you behind the 8 ball really, really quickly. Ryan Gable and Corey Abbott running 7th and 8th. Corey, I think, just kind of following behind Ryan Gable at this point. They have 8 seconds back to Seth Rawls. They have 10 seconds up to Daniel Gore. So not a whole lot going on for these two other than to race each other. Jaden Racimus, another car on pit road, potentially going to drop from the event. And Dave, if we can go back to that battle for 10th, because the battle for the lead is heating up. Blake Reynolds has gotten to the rear bumper of Ethan Stanley, and we are at that point where if you want to short pit this and stay out at the stage caution, you have to do it this lap.
No.
You would have had to do it before this.
I think you were, I think
pit road's going to get closed here.
It says, okay, so there was apparently a miscommunication. Yes, you are correct. Sam had closed the pits. It was too early to close the pits. Nigel Stock has gone around. Chad Frankenfield also had an incident. Nigel Stock has collected his teammate.
Oh, it's bad back there. But the battle for the lead is on, and Blake Reynolds got around Ethan Stanley in turn 7. Stanley's going to fight back on the inside, entering turn 10A. He's going to push Blake Reynolds off the racetrack.
We've seen
Reynolds
that
through the
movie
grass,
before.
holds on to it, and Blake Reynolds to the lead. Wow. Gavin Hibbs is eating him back up. He's right back to him. Battle for the stage win. 2 laps to go. Blake Reynolds ran Ethan Stanley down from 2 seconds back, got up to him, and went right around him. That's just not something that we've seen happen to Ethan Stanley in quite some time, and now Stanley's going to have to fight from behind to get back past Blake Reynolds. Gavin Hibbs is right there, certainly within striking distance of Reynolds. Of Stanley, because Blake Reynolds is driving away from Ethan Stanley here.
We'll see, can Stanley set it up again here? This is where it's going to have to happen.
He did not get a good run out of turn 7. Not nearly as good as Blake Reynolds did. Gavin Hibbs even got a better run than Ethan Stanley, and that'll open the door for Gavin Hibbs. He's going to peek to the bottom. Stanley's going to cut him off. Hibbs not able to do anything with that. Stanley deep into the binders going into turn 10A. Unable to get to the inside of Reynolds, and he'll have to make a good run here through B. Last lap in the stage here as Reynolds gets to the line. More time around. Ethan Stanley still right there within striking distance.
And if something goes awry here, Josh Chen is not far back either.
Yep, that's the purple car at the top of your screen is Josh Chen. He's certainly within striking distance as well. Reynolds leads. Stanley riding behind in second, looking for a way around. His next best chance will be to pass there in turn 6. On the straightaway now, he got a pretty good run, but I don't think he's close enough. He'll have to set up the run down that really long back straightaway. Stanley down into 6. In behind Blake Reynolds. Reynolds third in points. Gavin Hibbs there, second in points, just behind Stanley. These guys all front runners all season long. Blake Reynolds got a great run through turn 7. He's going to be able to hold serve here going towards the stage win. .10A. Stanley to the back bumper of Reynolds. Locked up one of the brakes. It's not going to be enough. Blake Reynolds is going to win stage 1 here at Road Atlanta despite Ethan Stanley leading 13 laps. It'll be Reynolds, Stanley. They off track coming to the line. Gavin Hibbs will finish stage 1 in second, and we will pick up the pace car. The rest of the top 10 will be Josh Chen, David Tooker, Daniel Gore, Ryan Gavel, Corey Abbott, Scott Crump, and Seth Rawls. Is the caution not out yet? There it is. There's the caution. So we will jump to commercial while we re-rack these guys and set up for stage 2 here in the Lucas Oil School of Racing 150. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Tickets are on sale now for the 5th Detroit, Illinois 300 at Worldwide Technology Raceway. September 11th through 13th brings a full weekend of action with the NASCAR Cup Series, NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and St. Louis's biggest music festival, Confluence. The stars shine on and off the track, and your ticket gets you everything: cars, concerts, camping, food, and fun. Don't miss it. Get your tickets now and save big at WWTRaceway.com.
This is Bobby Bolin from Tom Bolin Ford, and I have huge news for you. Right now, we are offering interest rates as low as 3.99 on most of our used cars. That's right, 3.99 happening right now. And it gets even better. These used vehicles come with the Bolin Lifetime Powertrain Warranty, giving you protection for the long haul. This is your chance to save big with incredible rates and shop our wide variety of trucks, vans, SUVs, and cars. Only at Tom Bolin Ford in Hannibal. Heck of a deal, ain't it?
Blue Egg Marketing. Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand towards victory lane. So don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big.
The Lucas Oil School of Racing. Simply stated, we are the professional ranks where the quality of the equipment often dictates the outcomes, and all of our cars are designed to perform and race as close as humanly possible. None of our competitors will have an advantage from engineering tactics. Rather, you will compete on a completely level field with a score of immensely talented up-and-coming drivers, all pushing each other to reach their new heights in their respective pursuit in becoming a professional race car driver. Every year, our top-performing graduates move on to the professional racing ladders of IndyCar, F1, and IMSA. Whether drivers compete in 1 or 2 seasons of our series, when they are ready to move on, they are ready to move. The training you receive in our school is an unmatched, unforgettable, first-class education combining the very best racing instruction and education.
Right now at Tom Bolin Ford, we're offering X-Plan pricing for everyone. Yes, you heard me right, everyone. That means every customer can take advantage of special pricing normally reserved for employees of Ford partner companies. And all you have to do is walk through the door at Tom Bolin Ford. And it gets even better. Also receive a Bolin lifetime powertrain warranty, giving you long-term confidence for the miles ahead. Unbeatable pricing, lifetime protection, and a huge selection waiting for you right now. Only at Tom Bolin Ford in Hannibal. Heck of a deal, ain't it?
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And welcome back to the Lucas Oil School of Racing 150. You'll note there has been a change for the lead. Pit stops occurred while we were under commercial break, and Chad Frankenfield stayed on the racetrack. He did not pit. You can make this race on one stop, so that doesn't entirely absolve Chad. He will be the race leader here. Grab a point, important point to lead a lap, and then he'll see if he can't maintain enough track position to make a net gain from about 20th or so where he finished the stage. I think overall the strategy should work unless the tires are incredibly wearing, which is very possible with this new extra horsepower update. So everybody else came down pit road. Ethan Stanley was the first off pit road as we roll through the top 10. It's mostly similar to the top 10 that earned stage points to the end. We will, I believe, run one more lap and go back to green. Scott Crum, Seth Rawls, Matthew Weeks just outside, Ray Bracey. So, Zach, what do you think about Chad Frankenfield staying on the racetrack, picking up a lap lead, and seeing if he can't make this race on one stop?
I mean, it's probably, if he's confident in his pace here, not a terrible strategy to get some track position and try to make the most of the penalty, obviously, to start the evening. Obviously, again, you just got to be real careful here, especially on the older tires. Don't get yourself mixed up in something. Don't give somebody severe damage and turn a bad situation into a worse situation.
I think you pretty accurately described the potential issues, as we do get a severe damage penalty to Cale Pocock for that incident back in turn 7, involved Gerald Campbell, Jaden Racimus, and a few others. And there's Nigel Stock in his race debut here. Series debut, that's the one.
Yeah, you had it right the first time.
Yeah. So You're right. I think the pitfall for Chad is causing an incident here, right? And that's something he absolutely cannot do. This isn't an easy place to pass. He simply needs to hold his line, but he could also be the victim of someone causing an incident here and someone being impatient, running him over, and that might potentially cost him more track position than would otherwise work. So if he can keep it clean, it'll work out for him, I think. But if he gets booted or boots somebody, it's going to be kind of exponentially worse than if he were just staying in traffic. So, see how it works for Chad Frankenfield as we drive down this long back straightaway. Ethan Stanley, he got out to the lead, and Blake Reynolds ran him down and passed him for the stage win. I think Stanley now knows he needs to step up his game a little bit. 40 laps, we don't believe anybody can make it to the end on that. You will have to pit probably after 20 laps or so to ensure you have enough fuel in the tank to make it to the end of stage 2. We'll get ready to set these guys loose for green flag racing once again here at Road Atlanta in the Lucas Oil School of Racing 150 as you watch them drive down through this little left-right chicane, turns 10A and B. Pace car will duck off as we approach turn 11. Chad Frankenfield will effectively get the green light as soon as that pace car hits pit road, and he will fire off very early. Pretty wise decision there for Chad Frankenfield. Try to get away from these fast cars. It's not going to matter. Ethan Stanley got a really great jump through the gears. He'll rocket right to the long side. Chad Frankenfield entering turn 1. 91 car trying to put some distance between himself and Blake Reynolds. Pack roars off of 2. Frankenfield way high. He's going to be on that bottom lane. Stanley's going to roar by for the lead. Chad will hold up Blake Reynolds ever so slightly, and Ethan Stanley is going to be back in the clean air. Frankenfield back to second. Reynolds and Hibbs follow suit in behind Chad. Let's see how quickly Reynolds disperses of Chad Frankenfield here.
Oh, Josh Chin is around.
Oh, that's big. Daniel Gore and Josh Chin might have made some contact. Chin is around, and he just drove away. A 360 there for Chin. Did he run over the bump, or did Gore get a piece of it?
I did not see how it started.
Reynolds got a great run out of turn 7. He'll get around Chad Frankenfield in the long front straightaway. Gavin Hibbs will be next to go after that 15. They both know they got to keep that 91 in their sights.
It looks like he just got loose out of turn 5.
All right. Josh Chin loose to get around there in turn 5. Frankenfield bypassed by Hibbs. Ethan Stanley roars through to the race lead. Reynolds second. Hibbs third. Frankenfield back to 4th. Daniel Gore is 5th. The gap is opened up, right? It's those first 4, but Frankenfield's got a little bit of gap there to work with back to Ryan Gable. And if you're Chad Frankenfield, right, I think he'll get passed by Daniel Gore, but he could probably settle in right behind. There's Gerald Campbell around.
That's the final corner, I believe.
Oh, weird spot to get loose in, it seems. That's going to be some heavy damage for Gerald.
Well, again, remember there is that that's the crest of that hill right over turn 11. So if you have a little too much wheel in there as the bottom's falling out, yeah, right there.
There you go. Hard into the inside wall. Yeah, that's a blind corner. I mean, that's a tough one. And around goes Gerald.
Almost looks like he had too much throttle and didn't get up a gear like he needed to get to 3rd and was still just kind of wheel spinning in 2nd going down the hill there.
Daniel Gore going after Chad Frankenfield. David Tooker going after Seth Rawls. Tooker into 7th. Gore to the inside of Frankenfield for 4th. He will grab that spot. He'll go off track doing it. Oh, and Gore's probably going to get a slow down here. Yeah, he'll have to serve that. He'll have to run Chad Frankenfield right back down. Mistake that probably takes Daniel Gore out of, I would call it a slimish hope that he could have gotten up there and contended with the top group, but nonetheless, I think Daniel Gore is hoping for a finish right around where he's running right now. It looks like Gilberto went off track in that final corner as well. Didn't have near the contact Gerald Campbell did.
No, he just kind of slid to the outside of the racetrack, gathered it up, got back going.
Ray Bracey just in front of Ryan Schold, back in a battle for 13th. Behind Trey Eidson, Josh Chin right here as well after his loop through the S's. We talked about the difficult season talk about the difficult season for Ty McIntosh. I was gonna say Ray Bracey's had a bit of a difficult season. It hasn't quite been the case, but he is definitely not had enjoyed near as much success. Kale into Brent.
Oh boy. Now that probably won't cause severe damage,
No.
but not a situation you want to be getting yourself in again if you're Kale Pocock.
Kale is on a one-off race, right? It's not.
No,
he's not running for
it
points
may not
or
be a
anything,
points issue.
but yeah, you don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah.
You know? Daniel Gore has driven back to Chad Frankenfield. Corey Abbott driving the Dale Earnhardt lane through the grass. I think it's going to be a matter of time here for Daniel Gore to get around Chad Frankenfield. That car looks much faster. Frankenfield obviously on the older tires, but they have allowed a 4.5 second gap to open up to race leader Ethan Stanley. And Stanley still got the lead, but I think it's kind of a question of how much longer up there for the lead. You'll note that gap is down to 0.3 of a second, and it's closing. Blake Reynolds, I think, is a little bit faster than Stanley right now, and we'll see. It's going to be an interesting thought process to see what Ethan Stanley can do to hold off Blake Reynolds, who looks to be a little bit faster today.
Of course, Ethan Stanley for so long was the road course dominator, right? I mean, 9 career wins on the road courses in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series at one time. I believe it was 5 or 6 in a row. And then Blake Reynolds came around and won at the Red Bull Ring last season, snapped that streak. Then we had Nate Stewart win at Mexico City earlier this season. So,
yeah, in fact, it's been a minute since Ethan Stanley has gone to victory lane in this Belly Up Sports Cup Series. He just hasn't quite had those results that he's had a couple of seasons ago, where he won 7 races and set the record for wins in a season. We talk about Ethan Stanley as a championship contender, which he very much is, but he has simply just not quite had the race winning pace that some of these other cars around him have had over the past couple of seasons. And it's a little bit surprising because we've been super accustomed to this guy being so dominant on these road courses and being extremely strong when it comes to the 1.5 mile type tracks. As Harrison Talon acquires a meatball flag, that might have been a incident gone wrong in the back of the field, but it's Ethan Stanley's credit, right? I mean, he's in a position where he's the fastest car. He's with the fastest team, right? His teammates are now the people he's working with are also the people he's racing against, and that makes it all the more difficult, I think, to actually challenge those guys when you're also working with them. Here's the incident for Harrison Talon, and that's big damage. There's more big damage. Like, I think when Ethan Stanley was racing for Lake Norman, there was a little more, I don't want to call it animosity because it wasn't that, but it was the need to go out there and be better than some of these guys. Now he's teammates with those guys. That car's hood is flapping up on Harrison Talon. Oh my goodness. He crashed again. Oh, wow. This is, boy, Harrison needs to.
Pit road was that away, Harry. Where are we going? Harry?
This is an adventure. He's going to go off track again here. He's still not on the track. Oh, all right. It's time. It's time to pull this one in. Hit the toe button, Harry. Hit the toe button. Oh my goodness. And there's the wall. There it is. And now he's done. That will be an absolute delight.
I know that was all fun and games and all, but we've got some beef with the 01 and the 15.
The 15 having beef? That's crazy. I've never.
Yep. Keep going. Right there. Nope.
Oh, there's Harrison Talon's car in the background. Ryan gave a little into Chad Frankenfield, and Chad gets a piece of David Tooker on the way by. But remember, Chad's out there on older tires. I don't know what beef you could possibly have while you're holding people up. If somebody gets
a little bit of a
frustrated,
defensive
moves
line, a little bit of a defensive line on the older tires. Obviously, it's still, Ryan did get into him, but I mean, you gotta.
He opened himself up to that by staying out
He
originally.
did put himself in a precarious position. If there's one thing we've learned from the Belly Up Sports Cup Series this season, is that it's entirely the responsibility of the leading car to allow himself to be passed safely.
Yes. Somehow, look.
Obviously,
I'm not going to talk about that anymore.
Obviously, that's Chad Frankenfield's fault.
Yeah, I'm
obviously,
sure that'll be.
That's Chad Frankenfield's fault, right? Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Even though at least in this particular regard, and despite there being no actual spin or damage from said contact, the lead car was in an unsafe position, unlike several incidents that I have found myself complaining about over the last couple of weeks in the Elite Racing League that have resulted in a lead car getting spun and getting called for fatality. It worked out. Chad's still in 8th. The car's in good shape. It's in one piece. He's going to continue to lose spots because this car is out on older tires. But we're coming up on the need to pit for Chad Frankenfield, and he'll be able to do so, get back into clean air, and it might help him actually getting out of the way of some of these guys and getting them away from his rear bumper where he's looking in the mirror. Here comes Josh Chin inside of Matthew Weeks. Battle for 9th. Matthew Weeks lets Josh Chin go on by. Now Chad Frankenfield will be the next up for Josh Chin in his recovery drive after spinning out on the restart in the Essex. Just before we got the beef, I was going to say I was very excited to note that we're going to get to see Harrison Talon on quick shifts. We might get to see this one on quick shifts as well. Oh no! Mark Rebelos finds.
Josh Chin is off track.
Chin off track again.
He kept it straight this time.
This has got to be it's got to be way closer than this to the
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be down in turn.
Sit live and go
here.
back.
No, just stay right here. Stay
right
right here. Please leave it alone. I'm talking you through it.
Is it more contact with old 15?
Think so.
Nope.
Just kind of overshot the corner. Did a good job.
We saw that from Daniel Gore earlier, trying to pass Chad Frankenfield as well. Which, the 15's driving a little defensively. I think you mentioned it. Trying to hold people off, and that is the way you get moved.
Well, right? He might get it right here from the 11 car if he's not careful.
11 car not real happy with Chad Frankenfield last week during that World 600. Oh boy.
That's not going to sit well with him either.
No, it will not. Matthew Weeks, though, not the biggest fan of the road course in general. Was having a pretty good run up inside the top 10. Might have gotten a stage point, might have been just outside. Now he will be well back in the field with nose damage, and he might blame himself for that one, but he was getting aggressive, right? Trying to bypass Chad Frankenfield on the older tires. A lot of action around that 15 car here tonight. Here comes Josh Chin looking inside. He'll think better of it. I think Ray Bracey's run that line just about every time. Going off track on that final corner.
You pay for the whole track, right?
Yeah, why not use it?
Exactly.
You can see there's dirt kicked up on a bunch of these corners. These guys are really wheeling these cars, and I think it's something we didn't really cover at the beginning of the show, but we did have that update where they've put the short track package back on this car. It's more of it's higher horsepower, less downforce. With the latest updates for this season, as here comes Josh Chin, got around Chad Frankenfield, found a way to do so. Now to put Corey Abbott going after the 15. But I think a little bit of that is also, why we saw Matthew Weeks spin out right there. And we've seen some of these other incidents. We've seen we have lesser downforce. We have more horsepower. That's going to result in cars getting out from under these guys a lot easier.
especially, I mean, a lot of these have been situations where you see those elevation changes, or especially when the car is going from uphill to downhill, as Ryan Gable just went off track but kept it pointed the right direction, shortcut 10B a little bit. And Chad Frankenfield's coming to pit road right now.
Yep, cut the race right in half, did Chad Frankenfield. That's about what you have to do if you're on this strategy. He lost, what?
I think so.
10? He lost 10 spots there. He was back at 10th, maybe 9th. Ultimately, that's going to be a net gain for Chad Frankenfield.
Yes.
You know, he
did the hard part. He got through the hard part.
Yep. Now you got to go out there. You're going to be in clean track. You'll have fresher tires than these other guys around you. That means you need to go out there and turn good, clean laps, keep the tires under the car, and bring it home in one piece at the end of this 60-lap run. Ryan Schold in the car that looks like a lot like Chad Frankenfield's. Back in 20th, up closer to the race lead. Battle for 8th. Josh Chin continuing that comeback drive. He's going after Seth Rawls, trying to set up a pass out of turn 7 and down the long back straightaway. And I think he's going to have a good run. Is Josh Chin going to look to the outside, effectively going towards turn 10? But I believe Chin's going to clear him. I think Seth gave him that line, lets him by, and settles back in line. And I don't know, Zach, that seemed like a wise racing move to me.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys seem to be fully aware of Josh Chin's pace, and as Daniel Gore is on pit road, you'll see that quick little blip of yellow as Josh Chin races by.
Gore was running 4th. He had a 2-second advantage over David Hooker. Very intrigued to see whether or not the 69 is able to pick up on that group in front of him, but really maybe just stave off those guys behind might be kind of the goal there, to try and cut down the short pit and get this, you know, maybe get out of any of the chaos and get into the clean air at the back of the field. Ethan Burrell also down pit road. 5th in points, by the way, or 4th in points after last week's good finish is Ethan Burrell. Jesse Racimus off the racing surface in front of Jonathan Cutlip and Jared Rexing.
You know, Ethan Burrell, I think, is the only podium finisher from last week that showed up tonight.
Yeah, that is true. Johnny Thomas, you could tell Johnny Thomas in our interview wasn't going to show up. Caleb Pecumer told me later he has a commitment at school. He's got to work out tonight, so we'll look forward to seeing Caleb and Johnny back in the next races, but missing him tonight for sure. Matthew Weeks goes around Jesse Racimus. Racimus off the course. Ryan Schold struggling to get onto the throttle there in turn 7. I think tires are becoming a factor at this stage in the run. I think Daniel Gore might have even identified that, jumped to pit road and covered off Chad Frankenfield and gotten to a spot where, you know, he'll be running a few more laps on the fresher tires and maybe able to save those tires for later in this race. That overcut usually is strong though, so it's what worked last week, right, with Caleb Pecumer. So we'll see. Oh, Jesse just had the bobble.
Big.
But there's a lot of runoff. He's using all the race stuff.
There's a ton of runoff there. Now, nope. That's you found the exit. That's all of it. That was all of it. There was plenty, but there was not that much. He was headed towards the sports car pit. Meatball flag, you don't say.
I think he got to the point of desiring a meatball flag there.
Yeah, possibly.
He was ready. He was ready to go. Was Jesse Racimus ready to exit stage left? Gil Pocock, one of the cars I believe that has retired from the event. We're down to just 22 cars, maybe 23 cars on the racetrack at this point. Matthew Weeks, Ryan Schold back here. Ethan Stanley's still got a 1-second lead over Blake Reynolds. Gavin Hibbs runs 3rd. David Hooker is 16 seconds back in 4th. Daniel Gore, by pitting over Chad Frankenfield, has cut off his advantage over the 15 to 6 seconds. I'll be interested to see if Gore maintains that. And that 69 car is going to be kind of quick. I don't think he'll have any chance to run down Gavin Hibbs for 3rd, but the goal will be to see when David Hooker comes off pit road, whether he bypasses the 69 or even comes out close to Daniel Gore, because Gore's probably, and maybe we can get a lap time here, but I'm wondering if Gore's running faster laps than those leaders are right now with the fresher tires. No, that didn't help. That doesn't help us any. But Yeah. There we go. Let's see about that. Yeah, Daniel Gore's second on the track
There you go.
on lap time, but Ethan Stanley still running lightning quick laps, and Blake Reynolds right there as well. Tires do seem to be a factor, though. I mean, look at that. They're, right, 2 of the top 5 in lap time last time are, guys who have those fresh tires.
I do think that's a factor of, like you mentioned, the different road course package, a little bit more horsepower, definitely less grip and downforce. I think that's meaning tire wear does matter. We've had some road course races in the past with this car where it was a non-factor, where guys would run the entire 150-mile distance on the same 4 Goodyear Eagles. And I don't think that's going to be the case tonight. I think you're going to have to really keep these tires underneath you and change them when you have the opportunity.
I think that'll be a key factor. And obviously these guys up front, Ethan Stanley, Blake Reynolds, are just super, super strong at saving their tires, making sure that their cars are the same lap in and lap out and at the highest level possible. And that's a lot of the reason that they are 1-2 with a 5-second lead over third place right now. And that Battlefield lead's starting to heat up, right? There was a time a little bit ago, as you see the gap from the lead lap cars that haven't pitted back to Daniel Gore and ultimately Chad Frankenfield. Blake Reynolds had dropped back to a second behind Ethan Stanley, but as we sit, he has cut that lead in half, and he is continuing to chomp into the lead Ethan Stanley had, and you can see Blake Reynolds really starting to make those gains. Maybe it's time for Ethan Stanley to bail to pit road, but I think Stanley probably wants to stay out as long as possible, and I hope he can overcut Blake Reynolds, but Reynolds is going to run this tank completely dry. Brent Jones on pit road. The battle for the lead starting to get close. Josh Chin is going after Ryan Gable. That is a battle for 5th. But here comes Reynolds looking for the race lead, and this was just about the same time in which he caught Ethan Stanley last time through. Go on board with Reynolds here and follow him up to the back bumper of that 91.
I mean, you could just see, especially through this part of the track, how much the car bounces around over that curb, which they're using. No surprise. I mean, obviously, these two guys, they've figured out the tricks to the trade to use as much of the racetrack at their disposal, but that's where we've seen a lot of issues tonight from other guys. Stanley got a pretty good run out of 7 that time, I think.
Yeah, he did. Definitely stepped it up there just a little bit, but yeah, watch what Blake Reynolds is doing right now. I mean, he's been able to keep the rears on the car. Charges the corner a little bit better than Stanley right now. Stanley a little bit better exit. Into turn 11, neither of them bailed to pit road. Back to 12. Oh, both of them off the racetrack. It doesn't seem like that's slowing anybody down, Zach.
No, I think that's just accepted as part of the racing circuit at this point.
We've seen a lot of guys bailing into that grass on that out of that last corner, and both our leaders did it right there, and neither one of them really slowed down at all.
And I'm kind of surprised, especially considering how much we've seen the cars get upset over these curbs through the S's and stuff, that grass does not seem to be bothering them at all.
Go.
But there go those curbs on Ethan Stanley. That's got to allow Blake Reynolds to get around here.
Ethan Stanley, with the smallest of mistakes, opens the door for Blake Reynolds. And I'll tell you, Zach, I think Ethan Stanley might just have to bail to pit road this lap. That's probably what he's got to do if he's going to have any shot, right? Try to bail to pit road this lap, run some qualifying laps, build up a really big lead, and hope Blake Reynolds doesn't run him all the way down before the race ends.
Yeah, it's probably longer than he wants to go, but I think you're right. You've got to adjust your game plan at this point. If you're going to compete for the win with the 66 car, I think it does not look like he'll pit this time, though.
Yeah, maybe give it a lap, see if you can't stay with Blake Reynolds, but, oh, man. Well, one mistake cost Ethan Stanley the lead there, and remember, he lost the lead just before the stage caution as well. Was able to pick the lead back up on the restart, going around Chad Frankenfield, but was unable to pull away from Blake Reynolds. Reynolds, though, not able to pull away from Ethan Stanley just yet. seems like that 91 car starts to amp up a little bit when he's got someone to chase. It always helps me when I'm running road courses at this point, right? You have somebody in front of you, you can judge your braking points and your corner entries and exits off of. You always can kind of stay behind them pretty well, but bypassing the guy and driving away from him is a whole other ballgame. And Ethan Stanley right now is able to stay with Blake Reynolds. I don't know that he's meaningfully falling off from the 66 car. So if you can just stay within his, a close range of that rear bumper, maybe you don't have to try to short pit and jump ahead of him, but I don't know, man.
Boy, right on the bumper here.
And that means you don't need to bail to pit road. If you're, oh, there it goes. Well, Ethan Stanley did go to pit road. There it is.
Right. The die is cast. We'll see how this strategy works out for the 66 and the 91.
I mean, these guys have first and second kind of locked up, barring any catastrophic mistakes. So it's like, if you're Blake Reynolds, do you cover off Stanley this lap, just pit and stay on the same strategy with him as David Tooker also jumps down pit lane? Or do you keep running long and try to make sure you can make that time up late in the race? So I'm looking back. I mean, Daniel Gore's not really making any ground up on Reynolds. He's making up ground on everybody, Gable and Chin on back, but Gore's not making ground up on Reynolds right now. That gap has been 50 seconds the entire time. So fresh tires, while I think meaningful, or maybe not meaningful when you're as quick and as strong as Reynolds and Stanley.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Stanley's going to come off pit road 15 seconds ahead of Daniel Gore here.
So here's the thing with Ethan Stanley, looking at where he is on track right now. He's actually trying to work his way around Ray Bracey. And I think that's another factor for Blake Reynolds as well. We'll have to see, is Ethan Stanley actually able to turn faster laps with those fresh tires, or is he going to have a little more issue with some of this traffic he has dropped himself in?
Yeah, Blake Reynolds has covered off.
Oh, here we go.
Stanley. Dave, did Ethan take tires on his pit stop? I believe we've got the tire graphic. Let's see. Let's see. So yeah. Ethan Stanley, 4 tires. Okay. Just wanted to check the pit time, see if he did in fact take 4 tires. I know Ethan Stanley has snuck no tire pit calls and 2 tire pit calls by us before on these road courses. Ryan Gable heading down pit lane. Corey Abbott following suit. That'll hand the lead over to Gavin Hibbs. The second place in points driver will pick up a lap lead. That'll be good for the points.
I'll tell you who didn't take tires.
Blake Reynolds?
I don't think Blake Reynolds took tires.
He's 10 seconds ahead right now. Yeah, fuel only. Yeah. There you go. His tires he was running laps as good as Daniel Gore. Like I said, why would you? That might be the winning pit call right there. Stanley's going to have to make up 10 seconds to get up to Blake Reynolds. And with Reynolds, I mean, the tires had fallen off a little bit, but I don't think that they had fallen 10 seconds loss off. So that might have been the move. Evan Hibbs is going to stay out for another lap. Josh Chin still on the racetrack as well. Reynolds fell to 3rd, so he won't, like you said, Zach, he won't have to go through any of the traffic Stanley is currently dealing with. Just went around Trey Eidson. He's going to have Scott Crump right in front of him now. And Stanley will be around Scott Crump.
Yep.
Into 4th, but I mean, he's 10 seconds off.
In the 10A, yep.
Seth Rawls down pit lane.
Pit road. So now Stanley's done with that part of it. Now they're both going to have to deal with, I'm sure, some amount of lap traffic, although it is dwindling as guys fall out of the race.
I wonder if maybe there is a cliff for the tires. That I guess that's a possibility.
I'm sure that's what Ethan Stanley is certainly hoping for, right? And I'm sure I question, even if we haven't seen the fall off yet, surely there is a point where Blake Reynolds pays the price for not changing tires. I mean, we will see how it plays out, of course, but I'm very curious if he can maintain this pace for another 20 laps on these tires.
And he's Stanley's eating into the lead. ever so slightly. He's gotten about a half second to a second off, but yeah, as you mentioned, I mean, Reynolds has still been quite quick on the older tires, and he's made his bed, right? I think, in Reynolds' case, right, you of course go for it. You've won 2 races this season. Stanley hasn't won a race, so you guys are both up in the top in points, but you also got a big enough lead on Gavin Hibbs that you're almost guaranteed to finish second no matter what you do here. So yeah, go for the gamble. He pitted before you. He set the pace. Paces take tires. Well, you can make up some time by not taking tires. So do that. That's what Blake Reynolds has gone for. Ray Bracey heading down pit lane in the 7 car. The gaps on track are gigantic. I mean, you're talking 12 seconds from Hibbs back to Chin, 8 seconds between Reynolds and Stanley. Gore is, I think, de facto. He's not even be de facto 4th behind Hibbs once Hibbs hits pit lane, but he's way back. It's going to be all about can Ethan Stanley's fresh tires overcome the no tires of Blake Reynolds here the rest of the way, final 20 laps. Here comes Hibbs. Race leader down pit lane. Josh Chin will take the lead over if he does not pit this lap. If I'm Josh Chin, I would probably say stay out, grab yourself a lap lead. He will not. He will head pit lane.
I would say our closest battle on track right now is for 6. Daniel Gore trying to get around Garrison Hogan.
Hogan's had a quiet season, but he's sitting 7th in points.
A little bit of lock up there from Garrison Hogan. That's going to allow Daniel Gore to squeak on through.
Gore, we're going to see where he comes out in relation to Gavin Hibbs. Looks like Hibbs also did not take tires. He's only 3 seconds behind Ethan Stanley, and he is well ahead of Daniel Gore, 15 seconds or so. Josh Chin grabs a lap lead. The driver P11 in points will pick up an extra bonus point towards his chase pursuit. Pole winner back at Mexico City. Currently leading the race. He's been around in this one, but has top 5 pace. Just obviously got in behind in the middle portion of this race and will have to make a pit stop and hand the lead of this race over to his Channel 199 teammate in Blake Reynolds. He will not do so yet, though. Chin will stay on the racetrack for at least another circuit.
And that's kind of a similar situation for Garrison Hogan. He has not made his pit stop yet since the stage break. He has just been overtaken by David Tooker for the 6th position, but Hogan will be surrendering a few more spots when he inevitably makes his way to pit road.
Right, he'll be outside the top 10. Daniel Gore is getting chased by David Tooker. Tooker pitted a few laps after Daniel Gore. That will be a battle, I think, that drives down to the wire in this race. Tooker's been a little bit quicker the last couple of laps since he pitted. That might result in a pass for position later on. Chad Frankenfield's the next car back. The early pit has worked out thus far for Chad Frankenfield. He might get caught by a couple more cars, but if he can hold pace right there, I think he'll be in good shape to grab a top 10 and keep his chase hopes alive. So Josh Chin hits pit road this time. Looking at the gap between these two, Zach Stanley's making some ground, but he's starting to hit the cliff where the tires equal out, because this Blake Reynolds is running about the same lap times he was running before they came down pit road. That one right in the 120 range. Josh Chin is on pit lane, so that will hand the lead back over to Blake Reynolds.
Garrison Hogan fuel only on his pit stop. He has exited the pits in 13th, directly in front of what was already a brewing battle between Ray Bracey and Jonathan Cutlip.
Maybe we can go watch that one as Chin and Nigel Stock make their pit stops. Oh yeah, here we go.
Eric Hogan a little wide there.
Bojo to the inside. going to have the run, but they're going to be side by side up this long back straightaway. Josh Shin loses a couple more spots on pit lane. Bojo's going to clear Garrison Hogan into turn 10. Ethan Burrell sneaking into the picture as well. 4-car battle for the 13th position. Here comes Jonathan Cutlip inside of Garrison Hogan.
I can't help but wonder, with not taking tires there, did Garrison Hogan maybe pick up some trash on those tires, and he's really fighting for grip on this outlap from his pit stop?
Could be a little of that. Could be a little of Garrison maybe settling back in behind some guys he finds it comfortable to ride with. Right there between Cutlip and Burrell, maybe a comfortable spot. Garrison's not a road course ace quite like his teammates. Burrell starting to challenge Garrison Hogan also for this position. It's been a quiet night for Ethan Burrell as well. Here's a battle going to be for the 4th spot between Daniel Gore and David Tooker. Josh Chin is only a couple seconds back of these two as well. So Daniel Gore's fight for a top 5 may prove to be difficult the rest of the way, as he's got the worst tires of this group. I believe with Chin's pit stop time, he would have taken tires.
I agree, yes.
So that 93 should have fresh rubber on it. Yeah, looks that way. Scott Crump went fuel only, it looks like. 5 seconds the gap. 5.5 really back to Ethan Stanley. I mean, there's definitely value in tires, but with 15 laps to go, I mean, he's going to have to continue to put together laps like lap 43 and lap 40. Is Ethan Stanley, and I just don't know that that's going to keep happening with a tire advantage that seems to be going away rapidly.
If nothing else, David, this race is closer than the baseball game in San Francisco right now.
What's the score?
The Yankees are up by a touchdown.
Woof. Not a good start for old Logan Webb.
No.
Daniel Gore, David Tooker, Josh Chin, the battle for 4th ongoing. Gore, the first of these cars to take tires. Tooker second, Chin with the freshest rubber amongst the group. Josh Chin just set the fastest lap of the race.
There you have it.
And
I don't think he's going to set the fastest lap this time, because this is a wad right in front of him.
And I don't believe that there's really much chance that gets overturned. So that's a point in the favor of a guy that's right kind of on the cusp of being firmly in the chase. And now with that, he'll probably be completely firmly into the chase with an extra bonus point.
Keep an eye on some of these cars they're catching as well, some of this lap traffic.
Yep. Chin rockets around David Tooker.
Tooker, I don't think, put up much of a fight there.
Yeah, Chin caught them from a decent ways back. You got Gilberto in front of Gore, but Chin's so much faster. Even as Gilberto pulls out of the way, I think Chin's going to have to run down this long back straightaway and have a chance to get underneath Gore going into that turn 10A. Reynolds has given up a full second, by the way. I wonder if we're finally seeing that that cliff we talked about is here comes. So let's go back to it, because I was just calling out the gap. So I thought Chin was going to make the move on Gore there, but he did not. Holds firm behind the 69, but I think the pass is going to be upcoming of Daniel Gore right here. One thing about Daniel Gore, and you and I have raced with him a lot longer than these guys in the Elite Belly of Sports Cup Series. He is a very defensive driver, very much likes to get the elbows out, put up the wheel, and try and race whenever he needs to for a position. Difficult guy to pass. Josh Chin is going to get the full Daniel Gore experience right here. The tires are in Josh Chin's favor for sure. Daniel Gore, clean, very, very good with car control. Not a guy you're going to expect to race you dirty, but he is a guy you're going to expect to race you hard. So Chin and Gore are going to drive down into turn 7, but Chin's going to have the fresher tires, and he'll find the way by. Oh, loose is that 93. Gore's going to get back to the back bumper. McDaniel Gore, though, is correctly evaluating that the closer he stays to Josh Chin, the farther away he'll be from David Tooker. And it's a lot more likely he's able to hang on to 5th than he is to pass back past Chin for 4th.
And you might be exactly right on that. Certainly, big picture, you want to get away from that 19, build a gap.
Whoa. That car's, Josh Chin blinks. Josh Chin's blinked, I think, as much as anybody this entire season.
Every race this season.
Mm. So that's a better problem to have than the problem. Oh boy, off the track goes Chin.
Well, just I think he's gonna start opening up that gap.
You might drop it back. I wonder if you can over abuse the tires a little bit. It seems like it's okay for Josh Chin here, but I was going to say it's a better problem to have, right? The occasional blink than is the Gavin Higgins internet problem,
right?
Right, where you'd lag out every single race, and he quite literally cost himself several wins in the ARCA series by just simply lagging out of the event while leading the race. To our understanding, that's fixed now for Gavin Higgins. He did not show up tonight. Not a huge fan of the odd elite Belly Up Sports Cup Series road course. Gap for the lead down to 3.4 seconds for Blake Reynolds over Ethan Stanley. Zach, Stanley's making some inroads, but he's kind of Blake's kind of in a wad of cars, a lot of lap traffic. Stanley's gaining, but I don't know if he's going to have enough time. 10 more laps, 3 seconds. That's quite a bit.
He's going to have to start really picking them up and putting them down, I think. Although, like you say, Blake Reynolds a little bit of a log jam here. It looks like now he might get a little bit of a respite from Ryan Schold here and get into some clean traffic.
Stanley will have to go around those guys here shortly, maybe next lap. You see the rotors glowing red on the 66, Stanley eating him up. I do think that there's some additional wear Blake Reynolds didn't really account for. He's going to have to pick up.
I almost wonder. I'm gonna talk stupid here. And the last time I did this, we almost had a apocalyptic event at a road course at Belly Up Sports Cup Series race. But I am gonna talk stupid here. I almost wonder if running wide out of that final corner and getting in the grass is helping cool off the tires some after the abuse of the rest of the lap. I almost wonder if that's not a Ford chess move for some of these guys.
I think you might be right. I think there could be some value to it. Jared Rexing pulled offline. He's going to have to find a way to let Ethan Stanley by, maybe down this long back straightaway here. Stanley's gained to 2.5 seconds. I mean, he is really closing in. See if Rexing and Schold are able to allow these leaders to race for the win. You can see just being behind cars is slowing up Ethan Stanley a little bit. Reynolds able to open a 10th or two back up. Now Stanley able to close it in. The biggest time gain that I'm seeing from Ethan Stanley is entering that turn 10A. That's where he's gaining the most on Blake Reynolds. Now he just had to struggle getting off the corner because he exited the corner behind Ryan Schold. And there's Stanley off the track. I mean, yeah, you might be right? That might be the play. Cool the tires using that final corner in the grass.
He's got to get around. He's got to get around this 4-car, though. I mean, he is hurting right now.
Yep, losing time. Multiple tenths of a second for Ethan Stanley here behind Ryan Schold. Yeah, he's giving him the bumper. Excuse me, sir. I am racing for a win.
Yeah, especially with the line Ryan Schold took through the S's that time, that had to be incredibly frustrating for Ethan Stanley to lose half a second there in one section of racetrack. He is a better man than me for not hitting the push to talk button.
Yeah. Stanley still focused. I mean, even just having one clean corner, he was able to eat a 10th of a second back into the race lead of Blake Reynolds, and we'll see what kind of gap he's able to close in here this time through turn 10A. This is where Stanley is much better with those fresher tires than Blake Reynolds. You can see that time close in. It's going to open back up a little bit, but if it stays in this 2.7 second range, that's 2/10. And at 10 more laps, I mean, he's going to have to keep gaining, but 91 car is a little bit faster right now.
I do not want to direct our cameras away from it necessarily, but... Oh, no, we should probably direct our cameras to it. Battle for 7th between two guys that have already had a run-in tonight. And, Ryan was just in the grass trying to get around the 15 car.
Cool.
I don't think Frankenfield's gonna make this one easy.
No, he's
After
not.
their
Remember,
earlier run-in tonight.
Chad does have older tires than Ryan. He was the first to pit road at lap 30. We are also probably going to get a battle for 5th before this thing is over with. Stanley has kept the lead. He's continuing to eat into it. 2.3 seconds, that gap. We'll keep our eye on that as well as we follow this battle for 7th between Chad Frankenfield and Ryan Gable.
I think the problem here is that Ryan's probably got the pace. He's definitely got the fresher tires. Of course, Chad Frankenfield kind of splitting the race in half after staying out at the stage break. But again, Chad Frankenfield with some frustration from earlier, the contact with Ryan Gable, and I just don't think he's going to make it very easy for Ryan Gable to get around him here.
No, and we've already seen Ryan bump Chad out of the way once. I wouldn't put it past him to do it again. 2.2 the gap from Stanley up to Reynolds up at the front. This battle, though, for the 7th spot, Gable with the big run going into turn 10, and Zach, maybe Gable can force Chad into a mistake, because that's the kind of thing that I think is maybe what you have to do in this situation is just run the guy really close and see if you can't get him out of his rhythm for a corner or two. Big losses for Stanley. Did the tires go away on the 91? I don't know.
I wish we could somehow show two at the same time, because the battle for 5th is just as close as this.
Here comes, oh man, Gable looking in a spot where you definitely can't pass. There's the battle for 5th, Daniel Gore, David Tooker. This is about 10 seconds up the road from Gable and Frankenfield. Here comes Tooker inside of Gore. It will be outside through this turn 6. Gore with that defensive line to the inside, forced Tooker to go around the long way in both of these right-handed corners. He might be able to do it. Will David Tooker
He
can
can
get the
get
power
down.
down?
No.
And as I mentioned when Shin was bypassing Daniel Gore, he's a defensive mastermind. Very tough to pass. He'll run you clean. He's going to dump the air on your nose. He's going to force you to make the difficult pass. Use up your stuff while doing it. It's going to be a tough drive for David Tooker. Here comes Gable on Frankenfield as well behind. Gable, I think, lost some time. There might have been some contact.
There was some slight door-to-door contact under braking for 10A. I don't think anything out of line, but definitely Chad Frankenfield not leaving much space for Ryan Gable. They've gathered it back up, and Ryan will try to close back in.
Both battles with a little bit of respite for now. But I think Gable will be back to Frankenfield first before Tooker catches back to Daniel Gore, before Ethan Stanley actually gets to Blake Reynolds. He made it to 2.5 seconds, but he has not been able to close in from there. Gable's car just looks a little bit faster than Frankenfield's right now, and it's going to be about finding that time to get in there. Obviously, Chad's opening the door to using the bumper, the door, get the elbows out, move that guy out of the way a little bit. They have a big gap back to Corey Abbott, 5 seconds, so
and a big gap up the road, too. I don't think Ryan Gable's looking at this as anything. I think that's one thing that might help Chad a little bit, is that Ryan's either going to get the spot or he's not. You don't want to throw away anything more than that. But at the same time, You have to feel like you can get this one if you are in the 01 car right now.
Mm-hmm. We're racing. We're here to race.
Yep.
I'm all for that. Ryan Gable's going to go after Chad Frankenfield again. Daniel Gore and David Tooker have closed back in. Here comes Tooker once again on Gore. Going to probably try to set up that same move. Daniel Gore's going to have to... Oh, here comes Tooker to the outside. He'll think better of that. Could have been disastrous. Tooker's going to have to set it up a different way. Probably needs to... He and Gable both probably need to find a corner where they can get the run and get alongside that other car with the proper entry to the next corner. Right now, Gore is running intentionally defensive into these high braking zones, forcing David Tooker, Frankenfield's forcing Ryan Gable into some difficult spots. Not dirty racing, just savvy road course racing where you don't want to get past.
Right.
Stanley's gotten into the 1 second range. He's really trying. If that lead gets to less than a second, we'll jump back up to it. There's the gap. Down to the braking zone. Tooker unable to get alongside Daniel Gore. The battle for fifth rages on.
This is the closer of the two for now. Ryan Gable lost a little bit of time out of 7 this lap, so he's got to close back in on Frankenfield. Locked up, just had a little bit of brake lockup on the entrance to 7. Killed his run off the corner. He'll probably make it back up in the S's next time.
Yep, the S's. It seems to me the S's are where these guys are making up a bunch of their time. Right, it's on braking and in the S's. And if Gable screwed up the braking, right, then he's got to wait for the S's in order to start making that time back up. That's where David Tooker is clearly slower than Daniel Gore right now. Is that side to side movement of the car in the S's, and look at Gore with the extremely defensive line, keeps that inside lane. Forces Tooker to the outside, but here comes Tooker to the inside. He thinks better of it again. I think Tooker realized he was just going to spin out the 69, and it was real possible he was going to wreck them both right there if he dove that to the inside.
Daniel did a really good job of taking away the cut back there. Now they're side by side behind them.
Yep, here comes Gable outside of Frankenfield.
Frankenfield's got him this time.
Well, the side draft is there, but it will not be enough. Frankenfield's going to be cleared by Gable. Can Shad get the run back to the inside? Again, that 15 car's been in the penalty box a number of times. He'll dive back to the inside in 10. Ooh, makes it work. Gable's going to have to run back here in 11. Side by side battle for 7th. Inside line, the preferred line through this corner, but they're still side by side down the front straightaway, and Gable's going to be behind Chad again. 3 laps to go.
Really impressed with what Chad Frankenfield was able to do there.
Yep, able to do it cleanly too. Love to see that. These guys are racing really hard, but they haven't. There's been a little bit of the door bang, but not a lot. That lead is under a second now. So, Dave, I feel like we have to put this one on pause and go up to the race lead because Ethan Stanley is within earshot. As long as he doesn't spin it out of the last corner, but he's within earshot of Blake Reynolds here. Three laps to go for Blake Reynolds. Ray's off in front of him here. Don't rejoin into him. Okay, Bojo made it work for Ethan.
Yeah.
Stanley was able to gain some time after getting around Ray, so that's good. He's going to need every bit of these last 2 laps in order to get up to and bypass, potentially, Blake Reynolds. Josh Chin has also caught Gavin Hibbs, by the way. It seems like those no-tire strategy calls are not as useful in the length of this race, as Ethan Stanley is right there behind Blake Reynolds. Braking into this braking zone right up here in turn 10. This is where Ethan Stanley is making up the most time as Chin goes around Gavin Hibbs. 7 tenths. Braking zone out, 6 tenths. Another 10th, and now into the 5 tenths. I mean, that's where Stanley's making up all the time. It's under half a second now.
Yeah, it's got to go down to the wire between these two.
2 laps to go. Reynolds leads, Stanley second. The gap is 0.3. The grip nearly gone on that 66. The 91 pitted for fresh tires. Blake Reynolds went fuel only in his bid for the race win. On board with Ethan Stanley over the last 2 laps of the Lucas Oil School of Racing 150 at Road Atlanta. Looking for his first win in over a year. To the back bumper of Blake Reynolds. Catching him is one thing, Zach. Passing him is another.
And we've talked about how hard it is to make a pass here. We've seen that with some of these other battles in the top 10 that we've been covering over these closing laps. Can he find a way around this 66 car?
It's going to be very tough. Blake Reynolds, another tough one to pass, but Stanley does have the advantage. Reynolds trying to cut the draft, but Stanley going to stay right in the slipstream of the 66. It's going to come down to the final lap. Stanley's going to go for it now. He drives to the inside. Big lunge from Ethan Stanley. He'll clear Blake Reynolds to the lead. He'll get off course. He's going to bump into Blake Reynolds. They hang on to it. Reynolds gets the lead back. Oh, Stanley's going to have one more shot here. One more lap to go after Blake Reynolds. White flag is in the air. Final lap at Road Atlanta. Can Ethan Stanley grab the win, or will it be Blake Reynolds' third of the season? Up to the S's. This is, again, where Ethan Stanley's so good. Zach, if I'm Ethan Stanley, I think you have to do this before you get to that turn 10A braking zone, because it'll probably go about the same way it went last time. I think you have to get it done and then get ahead of him before you get to that point. He's right on the back bumper.
But can he make the outside work? Britt Jones coming up.
Stanley looks to the inside. He'll think better of it into turn 6. Turn 7's going to have to be the lane. Reynolds backs up the corner. Stanley right into the back bumper of him. That harmed the exit for Ethan Stanley. It's going to have to be another one of those deep dives.
Yeah, it's going to have to be Hail Mary like at the Falcons game.
Down into turn 10. Another deep dive from Ethan Stanley. He's there. Contact. Stanley goes around. Blake Reynolds is going to win at Road Atlanta. Oh, man. Stanley went for it. He knew it was a long shot for sure. Blake Reynolds was able to hang on and capture his third win of the season. Ethan Stanley will come home second. Josh Chin will come home third. Let's jump to that battle for 5th and that battle for 7th.
Yeah, go to the other one first. Yeah,
Yes.
Ryan Gable just flat out missed turn 6.
So that may end the battle for 7th. Daniel Gore, Josh Chin will finish 3rd. Gavin Hibbs will finish 4th. I believe Daniel Gore is going to come home with a top 5 run over David Tooker. Frankenfield should come home 7th in what is a very good points day for the league owner. Out of the final corner, yes, Gore holds off Tooker. Masterclass defensive driving for both the 15 and the 69. Corey Abbott with a top 10 run. Seth Rawls with a top 10 run. Our race at Road Atlanta is over. Can we, Dave, please get a replay of 10A? Maybe from a wider angle, potentially, to see how Blake Reynolds was able to hold Ethan Stanley back. Wasn't too far back.
Well,
yep,
yeah.
A little bit further. A little bit further. Back to 10A. Right about here, and then maybe we zoom it out. And watch the race for the win as Ethan Stanley sends it in on Blake Reynolds to try and get there. Just didn't let him have the lane there. Yeah, just defensive. Had to do it to get the win. One more look at that final lap attempted pass. And yeah, at that point, right, it's the lead
Yeah.
car's corner.
Absolutely.
You're diving in, hoping you can kind of muscle him out of the groove. If you are Ethan Stanley there, I don't see Josh Chin in the waiting room in third, so we'll talk to Ethan Stanley first because he's in the rating room first. So here we go. Ethan Stanley, David in the booth. You got me?
Yes, I do.
Well, Ethan, you came from about 10 seconds back on Blake and had 2 shots there at the end. Ultimately weren't able to make the pass. Take me through chasing him down, and then what made it different trying to get around him.
Yeah, well, first of all, dirty air. It's rough. Once you get within a second of a guy, it's so hard to pass. But yeah, just had to chase him down there. Tires were really feeling it, but I was still putting in faster laps. But once I got there, I just couldn't get to him, and when I did, I bumped him, and then it screwed me for the next corner. So I needed like another lap.
Overall, I mean, it seemed like this was definitely a very challenging road course for these cars. How did you feel about what we saw here tonight?
I thought it was pretty fun. Road Atlanta is a pretty challenging track. The setup wasn't too bad, even though it's the Watkins Glen set. Yeah, it was just tight all night. You couldn't really get the front end to work, and the tires dropped off so much when you started to push. So it was about managing the fronts while trying to be fast, which is just almost impossible.
And Ethan, it's been a minute for you, man. You're carrying a bit of a winless streak here, and this is what, the 3rd road course race in a row. I think we haven't seen you in victory lane. Obviously, you were close tonight, man. But I mean, talk about, I think, the drought, the pressure a little bit. Is what can you do to go out there and beat these guys when it comes to them? They've come up and caught you. So how do you get back to that point where you're dominating these road courses?
I have no idea. The car's really fallen away from me. I just don't like the way it drives anymore. Dirty air on a stock car is a sin, especially on a road course. Yeah, just not really gelling with the car anymore. So I'm trying my best. I practiced plenty for tonight. It's just I don't think I have it anymore for at least this current setup. We'll see if it changes in the future.
And before we let you go, who do you have to thank on this performance tonight?
Yeah, as always, big shout out to Racecraft Academy for having me on for another season. Apex Gaming PCs, Next Level Racing, JD Designs for painting all my cars. A big shout out to Blake winning the race. He had the winning strategy there for sure. And then just big shout out to you guys up in the booth. Always love watching all these back. And big shout out to Chad and all the admins that run this stuff.
Well, thanks, Ethan. Congrats on a solid P2 tonight. We'll look forward to seeing you next week at Richmond.
Yeah, I'll see you around.
Ethan Stanley, the runner-up finisher. We'll move over to the 3rd place finisher and bring Josh Chin to the booth. And Josh, you got a copy?
I do.
Josh, I think this is the first time we're talking to you this season, but maybe the second time after the other road course. But take me through your night, especially kind of recovering after the spin there in the S's at the beginning of the second half.
Yeah, just really felt like I threw away a good shot to, even not necessarily get a win, but at least contend for it here. Really didn't do myself any favors that first stint. Kind of burned off the tires and got stuck in 4th. And I went down in turn 5, half throttle, and I went, I'm going to be good. And I guess I bounced the car wrong, and it just went on me. And from there, I actually drove it pretty easy after that, and I think it worked out pretty well. And taking tires ended up being good. I didn't think it was going to be as huge of a difference as it was. I kind of figured Gavin was going to be too far out there to get that spot, but I was able to get back up to him. So between the 8 seconds lost on the spin and all the time in traffic, I don't think it would have been enough to be up there with Blake and Ethan with no tires, but I think it would have been close.
You mentioned obviously that incident there to start the second half, that spin. And I think it caught me off guard seeing it because it like you said, you were half throttle. You weren't bouncing off the curbs like we saw some guys doing out of turn 5.
but it seemed like there was a lot of trouble with those elevation changes, which is the name of the game here at Road Atlanta. Did you did you feel like it was maybe a little bit more of a challenge than you even expected going into this one?
I figured it was going to feel different after we had the caution, just because we were going to pick up some rubber. But I also think it didn't help that I hit the entry curve. I think not a lot of people were really hitting it the way I was. I was basically the full car over it. And I think that bounce might have been what got me. It just started bouncing all the way through the corner. But the car felt considerably different after that yellow. We picked up a lot of rubber, and I didn't expect it to be as big of a difference as it was there. And that with cold tires was kind of the lethal combo.
And Josh, looking forward, you're with another good run here tonight. You're kind of in really good position to both earn a charter and make the chase this season. What's it going to take to get you into this championship consideration here as we approach the cutoff race?
I just got to stop making stupid mistakes. That was another example of that. I've had a lot of mistakes that have cost me a lot of points. I wouldn't be up there with Fockingham, but I'd probably be closer to third or fourth if I cleaned it up. So I just got to get everything tidied up. It's been kind of normally for me, it's not a lot of mistakes and not a lot of speed. This season's been not really a lot of speed and a lot of mistakes. So I got to clean it up.
And before we let you go, who do you have to thank on this third place finish tonight?
Big shout out to everyone, Channel 199, Team Hype, everyone elite putting on the league, and you guys for putting on the broadcast.
Thanks, Josh. Congrats on P3. We'll look forward to seeing you next week at Richmond.
Yep, thank you, guys.
That was Josh Chin. Let's grab in a sweep for Channel 199 Sim Racing on the podium. It will be race winner Blake Reynolds. And Blake, first of all, congrats on the race win. Second of all, what led to the pit call to go no tires and see if you could hold off that 91 car?
Just something different. I saw he peeled off, and I looked at his pit time on my caps, and he had a 4 tire stop, just like we did under caution. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go for it because I felt like my tires were still good. I think everyone kind of learned how to keep the tires a little cooler after that first round, and the track rubbered up and stuff. So, I felt like I had my left sides on it still. The left sides were the ones that were dying this race. Sure enough, I come in the box and it was only down to like 79. I'm like, you know what? I think I could take these to the end. And it barely held on. That race at the end was insane. I had a couple of lappers that ended up holding me up about 2 seconds, maybe. Like, that's it. I only lost 2 seconds, and that ended up being what got him to my bumper. But luckily, his tires fell off at, like, right when he caught me, or the dirty air or something. So it was a really nice, fun last lap, and we almost got through there clean that last chicane. I mean, we've all watched Petit Le Mans the last 5 years or so, right? So, I think that we know what you're supposed to do in that chicane, and I don't blame him for what he did. But we both go sliding, and I ended up recovering and getting to the line. It was an awesome race. I had a lot of fun once I figured it out.
Well, I mean, I'm glad to hear it was awesome for you because it was definitely awesome to watch here in the booth, and we had a lot of battles playing out in those final laps. It was kind of like you say, the guy out front having to hold off the fresher tires out back. But, what do you think, what made getting out front so important? Because I think in all 3 of those battles, it was the guy who had the track position that was able to hold on at the end.
Yeah, clean air was a big thing from turn 1 all the way to turn 5. And, the rest of the corners are slow, the double right before the straightaway, and then the chicane. And then the last corner, a little bit of dirty air, but, we're all chasing it in the grass anyway. We're all getting the off track. So I'd say clean air, but at the same time, the draft was huge. You could have a bad exit out of, is it 7? Is that the one before the straightaway?
Yes.
Yeah. You could get a really bad run out of 7 and still, maintain through draft, or if you just do the same corner as the guy ahead of you, you can gain probably a 10.5 into the braking zone of 8, or the last chicane.
And Blake, we've thrown up the point standings on the screen here a couple of different times, but you were now, I think, 36 points behind Daniel
Nice.
in your fight for the final the lead in the chase before the chase. So my question to you here for this is, Richmond, Legacy, Texas, and then Atlanta Super Speedway down the stretch. Can you go out there and catch and win this regular season championship?
We'll see. I like Richmond. I don't know how much Falkingham likes Richmond. I think last playoffs I led every lap at Richmond. That was pretty sick. I think it's the first time I've ever done that. So look forward to that. I like Old Texas. That's my home track and what I grew up doing here in iRacing. I certainly like it more than New Texas. I think everyone does. And then what was the last one?
Atlanta Super Speedway.
Yep. It's a fun combo. Hopefully I don't go hopefully I don't have a career-ending incident. We'll see how that goes, but it's it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to bringing the Track Racer Channel 199 Sim Racing Toyota all the way to the end here.
And before we let you go, who do you have to thank on this win tonight?
Channel 199, Racecraft Academy, my teammate Ethan Stanley for racing me clean and having a good hard fight. Shout out to Josh Chin too for the sweep on the podium. Shout out Gavin Hibbs too. He's pretty cool. And then you guys for broadcasting and Trick Machine Works, my secondary sponsor, and Chad and the admins for putting this on.
We appreciate it, Blake. Congrats on your third win of the season. We'll look forward to seeing and talking to you next week at Richmond.
Yes, sir. I'll see y'all.
And with that was the Lucas Oil School of Racing 150 from Road Atlanta. Zach, any final thoughts before we send us off tonight?
I think for the skepticisms we may have had going into tonight, Road Atlanta put on one heck of a show here for the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. Obviously, several battles there in the top 10 at the end of the race. And you touched on it. We're getting down to the end of this battle for the regular season championship and setting these playoff fields. So plenty of drama here in the next couple of weeks in store.
So yeah, I'm with you on that. I would like to shout out Nigel Stock for at P20 in his first ever Belly Up Sports Cup Series race here at Road Atlanta. So shout out to him. And then, yeah, you guys have been watching the finishing order, the point standings. Everything should be up to date. We will see you next week at Richmond, where it could be chaotic, could be a nice, clean and green race. We'll have to see what happens, but you'll have to tune in next week for that. So for all of us here at the Elite Racing Network, have a good night.